Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I will tell you a story called No One's Talking. This will be the first story of a series we're starting called the Horror Story series. There was a strange silence in the small town of Millfield. No one was talking to each other. No one was even looking at each other. It was as if the people were trapped in a bubble of silence. The silence had started 2 weeks ago, and no one knew why. It was like a switch had been flipped, and suddenly no one had anything to say. The streets were empty, the shops were closed, and the only sounds were the distant hum of electricity and the occasional bark of a dog. At first, people tried to communicate using hand signals and gestures, but even that quickly became too much. Everyone retreated into their own homes, living in a world of their own silent thoughts. But the silence was starting to take a toll on the residents of Millfield. They were becoming more and more withdrawn, losing touch with the outside world. They were becoming paranoid and afraid, not knowing what was happening to them or why. One night, a group of friends decided to meet up in one of their houses to try and break the silence. They sat in the living room, surrounded by the sound of nothing. They tried to talk, but their words were swallowed up by the silence. Suddenly, one of the friends began to scream. It was like a dam had broken, and all the pent-up fear and frustration had come flooding out. The others tried to calm him down, but it was too late. His screams echoed through the empty streets, bouncing off the walls of the houses. As the group tried to escape the house, they realized that the silence had grown even thicker. It was like a physical barrier, holding them back. They pushed and pulled, but it was like trying to move through solid rock. Eventually, they gave up and returned to the living room. They huddled together, trying to make sense of what was happening to them. And then they heard it. A faint whisper, like a voice from beyond the grave. They strained to hear, and gradually the whisper grew louder. It was a voice, and it was speaking to them. It was telling them things they didn't want to hear. The group tried to leave the house, but the voice followed them. It was like a weight on their shoulders, a constant reminder of the silence that surrounded them. Days turned into weeks, and the voice grew louder and more insistent. It was like a constant presence, always there in the back of their minds. One by one, the group began to succumb to the voice. They stopped eating, stopped sleeping, stopped caring. They became shells of their former selves, trapped in a world of silence and whispers. And then, one day, the silence was broken. It was like a sudden explosion, a release of all the tension that had been building up inside. The people of Millfield started talking again, but it was too late for the group of friends. They had become lost in the silence, consumed by the voice that had whispered to them from beyond. And even as the town began to rebuild itself, they remained trapped in a world of their own silent thoughts. If you have any stories or subjects you'd like us to cover or talk about, then leave a comment and also a like while you're at it.